Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reality Whisperer Webcast. Oh, it has been a few weeks since I've last done the show, so I've certainly missed it. This is the first time I'm actually broadcasting the webcast in my new home here in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. So I want to thank everybody who's joining me on the webcast tonight. We are going to be getting into Q&A later. We're just going to have about a 1 hour long show tonight. So probably about around the last half hour or the last 20 minutes, we'll be getting into live Q&A as well. So before we get into tonight's webcast, which is entitled Interstellar Integration, where we're going to be looking a bit more into the Amalgamation Effect, we're also going to be talking more about the winter solstice and fourth density as well too. Before we get into that, we're going to do some announcements. So the first announcement here is Quantum Classroom, the nature of portals, vortexes, and energy seals. This is a upcoming webinar that's happening on Sunday, January the 8th, starting at 12 p.m. Pacific. And you can again go to realitywhisperer.com and register. This is going to be a very, very exciting classroom. I'm going to be taking you all through the function of portals, how vortexes work, and also working much more in-depthly with energy seals. So again, learn the mystical science behind the conjuring of intention-based energy to increase and enhance your connections to the cosmos. So again, completely brand new information that has never been shared in any of my videos or any other form of media. It's going to be really, really amazing. It's all just going to be coming downloaded into me, and we're going to be looking into a lot of different forms of mystical science and how you can bring this into your reality and really just bring about some really great forms of manifestations, intention clearing, thought purity, helping to clear feelings, helping to clear out, clear out emotions, helping to enhance memory. It's a lot of great stuff that we're going to be talking about. So again, that's happening on Sunday, January the 8th at 12 p.m. Pacific. You can go to the website, realitywhisperer.com, and register. Secondly, this is for the people living in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, in my local neighborhood. Expansion Teachings Reinventing the Real. So this is going to be happening in an area in Victoria called the Church of Truth. It's going to be happening on Thursday, December 29th. I am going to be recording this event, but it will not be a live broadcast. It's going to be recorded and then edited later on, and will eventually be put on YouTube probably about a week or so after for free. So it will be available for others who have not been able to attend to check this out. So again, it is called Reinventing the Real, timeline shifting, redefining reality, and working with universal codes to take you to the next level of human potential. So again, for everybody in the greater Victoria area or in British Columbia, Canada, you can feel free to check this out. This is going to be a really amazing event that is going to be taking place on Thursday, December 29th. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get into tonight's show. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I might welcome everybody on the chat. Again, it's been a while, so I'm glad to see everybody who's coming back on the chat. And we are going to be taking calls. We're going to be taking some questions here a little bit later on. If you guys also do have a question for Adronis, you can certainly post it as well. And I will be happy to channel him, and we can share some information on that as well too. Let's fix my camera here a bit. There we go. And we can look into that as well too. So again, tonight is all about the aspect of interstellar integration. So when we're looking into interstellar integration, one of the newest videos I just put up on the YouTube channel this evening was all about stasis bodies. Now this is actually something that is quite common. In all my 8 years of channeling and talking to a lot of people, I'd say there's been about 5 to maybe 10% of people who I've been able to intuitively scan and notice that they have bodies in stasis, other types of extraterrestrial beings. Now, basically what Adronis had stated in this session that the video was talking about is that there are certain arc ships that are contained specifically within the Oort cloud that is right on the border of our star system. And there's these enormous arc vessels, like they can almost be seen like cylindrical craft or kind of like rectangular prism craft as well too, very three-dimensional, just kind of long and bulky, just like, again, very large arcs, very similar to what we would know as Noah's Ark. There would be no aspect of consequence that there would be some similarities as it pertains to a very long, rectangular cubicle type arc, and basically these types of ships. But basically, there are certain super federations that will take these arc ships and they'll go into the Oort cloud. And because, again, they have a hands-off policy, they're well disguised there, and they will actually project many of these bodies that are contained in a suspended animation stasis pod, and being able to go into a type of comatose state and being able to project their consciousness into the Earth matrix, and then being able to incarnate. And this is basically what a lot of wanderers or star seeds, etc., that we call them, are doing. Adronis has mentioned also that the most popular of the extraterrestrial groups that are here right now are the Pleiadians, which is really kind of no surprise because we hear about them all the time. They would probably be the most popular group upon any other. And also stated that approximately 200 million of the star seeds that are here on Earth right now are Pleiadian in origin. So to me, that's pretty interesting. Just like in regards to when one finishes their life here, they will go back into a Pleiadian body and actually awake from this type of comatose, suspended animation stasis state, and being able to come back into reality, just like they were waking up from a dream. So I did this entire session yesterday, and of course people didn't mind sharing this information because it was just so profound. And so I kept them anonymous. But basically being able to hear a lot of the stuff that Adronis was talking about was really, really wild. And just looking into how this is really happening to a lot of us, that many of us are getting what we could refer to as extraterrestrial memories, or actually starting to bring in other memories from other lifetimes as well too. Now basically, if we're looking more into the stasis pod situation here as well, basically what's happening is a lot of these beings that are contained in the stasis pod act as prisms, and it's kind of like shining a white light through a prism and then seeing rainbow light in many different directions scatter. That's basically what's happening in regards to the majority of our lifetimes. We could basically say that there are a multitude of lifetimes that we are experiencing on the Earth plane, splitting our own consciousness into many different facets, going into different time periods, different timelines within our history, and actually being able to live these lifetimes simultaneously. So basically that very extraterrestrial body in stasis is an oversoul. And so basically when these lives are appropriately finished, they all culminate back simultaneously to the host. So the host in that sense, so let's say for example that you had a life in Atlantis, that you had a life in Egypt, and that you have life right here in 2016. Let's just say for example that a few years from now you passed away. Basically what happens, all three of those particular lifetimes, even though they're in different timelines, they all converge back into the host oversoul simultaneously. So basically, again, we're not subjected to the aspect of time restraint when we're looking at a stasis body. So basically, they are exercising their own capabilities outside space and time, as we would understand it linearly on the Earth. And this is actually confirming a lot of what the late Dolores Cannon has also talked about in her books, is about the idea of stating that with Earth, time exists on the planet. But when you're going beyond Earth, the idea of the time that we understand really is not existing, at least not in the linear fashion that we can understand. A lot of the beings in that way, through this interstellar integration that we're going through, exist through some type of sequence, through some type of continuity, but they work a lot more differently as it pertains to their concept of what we would refer to as an average day. Basically, again, it's looking at different peeled layers of reality. Adronis also mentioned an analogy about looking into flipping the pages if you were to go to a different type of multi-dimensional planet, which again Earth is as well too. But basically what you're doing is you're like unpeeling layers. And so if you're seeing an Earth-like planet with beautiful wilderness everywhere, you shift your vibration, you peel off that page, then you're actually seeing yourself contained inside a crystalline city. You can then peel the page again, and you can go into some type of incredible dreamlike Fey realm experience. So basically being able to see that these beings are able to flip themselves into different forms of dimensions, shift themselves rather, into different forms of dimensions and experiencing different degrees of incredible experiences with other beings that exist in these different types of parallel planet timelines. Now, we have that capability as well too. It's the whole idea that when there really is a lot of surrender, when we're able to really empty ourselves and just choose a particular vibrational frequency we would like to experience, that particular type of frequency will still exist on some type of earth that we are familiar with, but being able to attract very, very interesting people in that way. You could attract members of the Fae. You could attract incognito extraterrestrials. You could attract the Argothan network, whatever it may be. It's basically just the whole idea of being able to empty yourself. Sometimes it may even be possible that when you really go into a very deep trance state, we'll go very, very lucid and then just start exploring a different parallel Earth. Again, one that may be a crystalline type of Earth, or one that may be existing within the Fey realms, or something that may look somewhat different to the type of Earth that we understand. That's just the incredible potential that we all have. But apparently, with a lot of the extraterrestrial races, this is quite common. Just going onto a planet and deciding to live in the type of dimensional version of that planet that you want to live in. So a crystalline city, or an Earth-like planet, etc. All of these particular possible dimensions exist, and these beings are actually able to go on this planet and being able to choose those types of dimensions altogether. It's really, really quite fascinating. So if you haven't checked out that new video that is on my channel, feel free to do so after you watch this tonight. So with the interstellar integration, basically what's happening again is that this is not just something that's occurring in our dream state. It can happen quite commonly there. But basically, when we're going through just these different forms of shifts, we'll feel this throughout the day as well too. We'll just get these different sporadic forms of memory that we feel have nothing to do with the situation that we're living in right now. And we'll just start getting these particular types of downloads. We may just start to feel like we're just overthinking a lot as well too. These memories are coming into our mind and we're basically trying to make sense of them. This is again all part of an integral interstellar effect, or what Adronis has termed as the amalgamation effect, is that we're actually starting to house different memories from other beings, from other perspectives of ourselves. Sometimes it can be on Earth, sometimes it can be elsewhere. It can be on different planets, it can be in different forms of dimensional realms, it can even be in some type of angelic realms if we're able to comprehend that. And we're just not able to diversify exactly what is this, quote unquote, what we feel is a random memory that we're experiencing. The whole reason of this particular interstellar integration, or this amalgamation effect, is that we're becoming more of ourselves. When we basically reach a state of themed numerological completion, so basically seeing the end of one cycle come together, we're entering a brand new cycle. And again, we can see this through numerological codes. We can see an 1111, we can see a 222, we can see a 333. We'll see some type of numerological, or again, synchronistic appearance happening in our reality. And this is basically telling us that we've shifted into something new. We're moving into a different octave of reality. And so when we experience this, we'll start going through these types of memory fastings that take place. Just imagining that we're able to see a new version of ourselves coming together. This, again, for myself, happens all the time, because this is how I'm able to access all of this type of information on a universal level. So I get a lot of these very strong penetrations of memory happening all the time. It's very, very interesting. Just today I was just about to do a session, and I just had this very strong vision of like a very kind of strange bug just landing on my shoulder, and I wasn't even sure what to even make of it. And just looking at these particular aspects of memory coming through, sometimes I just feel like I'm walking on another planet that's not even this one, and I can't even really identify it if it's different from Earth, but it's just a feeling that you're walking on a different planet as well too. So there's a lot of really interesting aspects of memory. But again, why do we have these memories? They're basically forming some type of relationship to the type of theme that we're exploring in this particular moment right now. So whatever that may be you being able to develop yourself as a healer. That may be you helping to work with your emotional states and getting memories that are helping to represent them some sort of information that's going to come through and create an aha moment, right? The kind of funny thing with these memories is that we feel that they represent something, but when we focus on something in particular, relating to a challenge that we're going through, we'll just all of a sudden have an answer where we would not able to receive an answer before. So as we were not able to receive an answer before, this is telling us that this memory integration that happened was some type of catalyst that was actually allowing us to receive some type of clarity that came together within our minds. So again, this really represents the amalgamation effect. It's helping us to integrate with relationship-based perceptions of other beings that again exist on other worlds, in other realms, in other realities, and they are converging together with us. Now, some people even have beings that they know are extraterrestrial. They may have names for them as well too. They may even have appearances. This was another session I did today. Another client of mine had an extraterrestrial guide that had green skin and slitted eyes, and basically was kind of living a parallel life very similar to what she is going through. And basically they are going through an amalgamation effect. So basically seeing these two entities become one. Not through the idea that it must be physical, but it's more so in the idea that the essence is creating a convergence. They basically become so aware of each other that they now share a coagulated reality, which means that their realities are now coplanar. They're able to basically connect very, very easily based upon their associations and awarenesses of each other. This is exactly what happened with Adronis and I when I started channeling him. He basically started to pierce a lot of veils and can exist in the exact same space where I am. But because I have certain veils and filters within this reality, it's not about the idea that I can go out and physically touch him, but it's the idea that consciously we occupy the same space in two different dimensional Earths. So he's actually able to project his consciousness in to a different veiled parallel Earth that is an association to my vibration. And we're basically converging. We're basically sharing those type of memories, those types of beingness states all together. So it's very, very fascinating looking into this. I've also talked to other people who have also known others that one person was actually transforming back into a mantis being. So it's actually looking at a human being who could actually bend his arm very obscurely in that way, just like a mantis would. So there are some people that are going through very extreme amalgamation effects, and prior to this he was not going through any of these particular types of changes. There are also times to where people feel that they're just losing their mind. They're actually getting a lot of these memories about being on different worlds, and sometimes they'll be diagnosed as a schizophrenic or having multi-personality disorder, etc. Basically what's happening is that they're actually getting a very large convergence of these different types of memories coming into their mind, and they have no clue of what's happening, so they'll just break down, and this will lead into some type of diagnosis of schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder or something of that nature. Basically what we go through as well too, through ADHD, all these symptoms that we've got labeled here. Basically all of these are certain types of interstellar integrations, amalgamation effects that are taking place. So really, what do you do when you feel like you're being overwhelmed by a lot of these memories, where you feel like a lot of these thoughts, you feel like ETs are talking to you all the time? Well, you basically want to try and ground this energy. So you really want to feel that you're putting your energy very, very deeply into the earth, and you're doing certain forms of techniques that can really just calm the mind. So it's taking deep breaths, going into meditation, being able to perform mantras, drinking lots of water, talking to people as well too that have experience with this as well, and just being able to really just get yourself into a level where you feel calm, where you're able to anchor these energies, and you can basically say, enough, I need to focus, I need to center myself. Ask for help as well too with your guides. Your guides can come through and they can help to filter a lot of this as well, and it is part of something that you're attempting to integrate. But the reason why it can come on together very excessively is because a lot of this stuff is being ignored, right? You're basically getting a lot of inner signs, inner senses that a lot of this memory intake, this amalgamation effect, is happening, and just to breathe it in and to welcome it in and to process it. Kind of imagining like a very long tube is coming into the crown chakra, going all the way out down to the bottom of the feet, and just imagining that you're flowing this energy through you. It just needs to be digested. That's the whole idea. It's kind of like we're opening our mouth and we're putting a lot of food in, but we're forgetting how to chew. That would represent an analogy about a lot of these memories that are coming in together, again, that represent this amalgamation effect. So again, interstellar integration is happening to a lot of us. In fact, every single person on this planet is going through some type of amalgamation effect. But because people are not being told about what's going on, they start to panic, they start to freak out. And this can lead, again, to different forms of psychological stress. This can lead into, quote-unquote, other particular types of disorders, etc. People think they have to lock themselves up in a mental institution because they're losing their mind, when in fact all that's happening is that there needs to be integration measures that need to be brought in, being able to help balance the energy, helping to flow this energy through you, helping to ground it and earth it, and being able to come to terms where there has been a lot of emotional clogs as well too. Emotional clogging, in fact, is what causes a lot of these things to become quite excessive. If we're feeling very, very angry with ourselves or angry with another person, we're feeling aggressive, we're feeling jealous, we're feeling sad, we're feeling depressed, whatever it may be. These are all different clogs within our energy. And basically, these memories now cannot process properly because there's too much clutter in our own mind as it relates to mental imbalance, emotional imbalance, physical imbalance. And so our body becomes very, very convoluted, and it has a very, very difficult time, again, attempting to digest and process this information properly because there's a lot of, I guess you could say, areas on the fritz as it relates to our mind, as it relates to the physical brain, as it relates to the body. It can't do its job. So again, this is where we're basically receiving help from a lot of people. It can even be people like shamans, people who, again, are psychics, intuitives, healers, that are attempting to balance out these energies, and again, just making it flow through like a river. And if there is obstructions emotionally, then we're able to work with that as well too. And through one of the new systems I've developed with light circuitry attunement, that is shown to have a lot of promise for people who just feel a million times better after taking that. So I'm going to move on the conversation a little bit more into today, which is the solstice. So happy solstice, everybody. Today, again, I mentioned on my Facebook that it was all about an octave of fourth density that has been integrated into the Earth plane. And today is the closure date, or the culmination date, to where that fourth density energy has now aligned. Now, there are going to be other particular forms of cycles that will start to introduce fourth density a little bit further. I haven't got any specific dates in regards to when these new cycles will be happening, but I feel that, again, it's kind of like we're looking at some fresh points. We're kind of looking at energy that is just stirring in right now, and then there will eventually be another tally-up date. My feeling would probably be, again, looking at the solstices, looking at the equinoxes, as those really represent tally-up points for energies. But basically, fourth density has already been established here as a octave. And now it's kind of like you're just opening up a hole in that way. And you've poured a little bit of liquid in. And then over time, we're going to pour a little bit more liquid and a little bit more liquid until eventually, through that grand span of time that Adronis has talked about, between the next 50 to 100 years, that particular hole will be completely filled up. And then we'll be able to access the immersion of going into that hole that is now filled with this fourth density liquid. So basically, it's like a gate is open. It's kind of like we just undid the padlock. We're just opening up the gate right now. We can't go fully into the fourth density yet. We're kind of just skimming around the surface. We're getting impressions. It's like our own consciousness is able to go into fourth density. We're able to get a grasp of that. But the physical body just isn't quite there yet. It's still attempting to shed a lot of necessity that still exists within a third density mainframe. So again, we are becoming fourth density compliant people, but we're still in that sense attempting to shed off a lot of the emotional skin, like a snake shedding its skin in that way. That's primarily where we are, but it's kind of like we're just flip-flopping around the surface of fourth density. It's kind of, again, like if I was to say that you're just closing your eyes, you're just vibing in, and it's like you can just feel this other earth that's like a veil away from you. And that gives the idea of how your consciousness is already aligned to a fourth density awakening. Now, this is basically why many people feel that time itself is speeding up. Well, time itself isn't actually speeding up, because time is just a measurement. It's something that we have created in regards to a unit of measure on a temporal level. Basically, what's happening is that the sequence of events are basically becoming so prominent within our lives that we lose track of time. So basically, the whole idea is that it's kind of like just having a bunch of oil rubbed upon you and trying to put something on you, knowing that it's just going to slip right off, right? So the whole idea in that sense is we're being oiled up energetically in that way, so that time no longer has that much of a grasp on us. We're basically just being very, very present. We're experiencing a very strong flow of a sequence of events that we're no longer grasping onto a concept of time to feel that that governs our day. So basically, for example, if a person's doing like a hobby project, they're so deeply immersed into it, they feel they've only been on it like an hour, and now 8 hours have passed, right? So basically just looking into the idea that the sequence of events is so much stronger. Now, this is basically the whole idea of a fourth density principle. When you're working with a fourth density energy, you're dealing with an energy that, again, is much more contained within the sequence, the continuity of an event, rather than feeling that time is attached to it. So basically having that connection of presence. Also the feeling where you know veils are dropping and you're feeling energies very, very strongly. You're sensing that you're becoming a lot more empathic, that you're becoming a lot more clairvoyant, that you're actually able to sense apparition as well too. You're able to communicate with these other beings who may look human, but they may present themselves as something very, very different, be it an elemental consciousness, an ET, whatever it may be. Different dimensional beings as well too, that are here one moment and poof, they're gone the next. Holograms, etc. We're able to get much more of an awareness of this. Basically, we're able to get a great deal of clarity of information that does not require the idea of logical documenting. So again, looking more into the idea of claircognizance, we're able to just basically look into something and just feel this is the path to go. This is what I need to do. This is the knowledge I've received, and I just instantly trust it. I don't know how it came to me, but I just have that feeling, and you're just basically carrying on with that course. That's great as well too. Basically, at times also where you feel that you're living woken reality feels more like a dream, that you've actually had situations occurring in the dream plane that you feel you're reliving in the awoken plane as well too. That again is another sign of a fourth density reality. So again, these are certain forms of, I guess you could say, tidbits that fourth density is now starting to bring itself in. It's kind of like we're looking at a Swiss cheese veil, right? But the whole idea is that our own consciousness, how we perceive reality, is already there. It's already in that fourth density construct, and that Earth could basically be received as a fourth density compliant planet at this particular time, even though it will take some more time before we are fully immersed into that fourth density matrix. But just looking at these signs of these awarenesses, of these forms of quote-unquote symptoms and tidbits, is a sign that you're starting to physically feel yourself moving into a fourth density reality. But it's very, very temporary. It's almost like a little flux here and there, and it's like you shift back and you normalize yourself back into a third density matrix. So we're basically just going through this hybridization of two different densities amalgamating themselves. And again, as Adronis stated, it'll be about another 50 to 100 years before we have that full immersion into fourth density. But right now, in the meantime, we're going to be feeling it very, very strongly. So the solstice has really brought about, again, a closure of this new cycle of energy that is now magnetized in this. What I've also found interesting is I tuned into a video today. It was on one of the anonymous websites, I believe, and they were basically talking about this huge wave of energy that was coming upon the planet, and it was unexplainable. And the first thought I'd say, fourth density energies, right? And that was exactly just the feeling I was getting. It feels like this was just being implanted into our dimensional grid. It was not something that was caused by a coronal mass ejection or anything that was a noticeable physical phenomena. Basically looking at the microwave thermal scans of the entire Earth, looking at it in an acceleration period, you could just see this huge wave of energy that was just so massive. And that was occurring just around December 19th, December 20th, somewhere around that time. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, yeah, this is fourth density integration right here. This is a cycle just starting to close up here, because there's no origin points that we can actually look at to find out exactly how this is happening. So it's basically just looking at this thermal wave that just basically truncates itself into the Earth. And this is my own confirmation of, yes, this is a lot of the solstice energies at work. This is a lot of energy of bringing us into that octave of fourth density, so seeing the end of a cycle. So that was a great confirmation to me. I'm not too sure how you guys can find it. I think you just go on the Anonymous website and you can look at this kind of interesting phenomena that took place through the idea of like microwave scans and stuff like that. Maybe if somebody has a link on the chat, they can put it up. But it was actually quite a popular story today on Facebook. So being able to see something like that where you really can't explain, it's nothing to do with the sun. The sun didn't belch a coronal mass ejection. It's nothing to do with cosmic dust, because there is no visual aspect of something that represents its source. Basically, we're just looking at the planet as it is, and we're seeing this huge wave, just like a gigantic wave, almost like an orange peel in that way, or a vortex that just came in and lasted probably about an hour or so. And people may have felt it around December 19th, December 20th, and being able to feel this incredible integration of energy being fused into the planet. And that's exactly what I was talking about this morning, is seeing this fusion of energy, this octave shift of fourth density moving into the planet. So again, that's a great confirmation that energies of that nature are fusing into the grid. And again, this is why everything just feels like it's happening a mile a minute, right? Because we're just going through this incredible shift right now, moving from a third density to a fourth density culture. So this is all, in my particular perspective, great confirmation that something is taking place. All right, guys, so that is what I'm going to talk about tonight, just in regards to the amalgamation effect and fourth density in the winter solstice. Got to get my solstices straight, I know. And the winter solstice as well too, and again, really just looking at that amazing footage. If I'm able to find it as well too, I'll see if I can add it to an annotation on this video here. You guys can check out as well too. It's really quite fascinating just looking at that. Okay, so if you guys do have any questions tonight, then either for myself or for Adronis, you can feel free to post. I'm just going to be checking out the chat room here, and we'll see if there's any questions. Okay. So just scrolling down here. Okay. Okay, yeah, one of the questions, someone just said that this was going to be one of my questions about that wave that is coming in. It is quite a very interesting phenomenon. I've never seen anything quite like that before. So just being able to look at this video and looking at this expert just say, well, this is what's happening. Here's the usual microwave scan, the thermal scan of the Earth, and then just seeing this huge, gigantic wave. It was very, very powerful. The energy that came onto the planet was just outstanding. So being able to look into that and finding out more about its phenomena is going to be really, really amazing. Maybe the next few days we'll feel some type of result of all of that energy, because, you know, we work with equivalent exchange. That energy is not just going to magnetize into the Earth and then you're just not going to feel anything. This may be something that may play out with a great deal of events. There may be some certain forms of planetary shifts as well too taking place, but just basically feeling this dimensional energy just ingraining itself into the Earth, amalgamating itself into the Earth, again, is a really great confirmation that this is the proof of this octave shift, that we've moved more into, again, a compliant fourth density planet. So again, just being able to see that was just absolutely incredible. Okay, so it looks like we are getting a couple questions here. So I have one here from Passion Kid. Can you please provide advice for how athletes, specifically boxers, can achieve their goals happily? All right, so advice on how boxers, or athletes in that sense, can achieve their goals happily. Well, the funniest thing in that sense that I've noticed is, and because I have talked to some athletes in sessions, the more positive they are, the more abundant in their capabilities to know that they are going to succeed, that's what brings about their prosperity altogether. So being able to achieve their goals really comes from a lot of positive thinking, comes from the idea that they already see themselves succeeding. They already see themselves working towards a particular goal and already seeing it happen. Being able to stimulate your muscles through positive thinking. This can be demonstrated through muscle testing or kinesiology as well too, is that you actually continuously encourage your body, love your body, honor your body. Your body will actually get stronger. Your muscles will actually be in a much more highly integral level to actually achieving goals in that way. Boxers, doesn't really matter, whatever athlete it is, if it's a boxer, if it's a runner, if it's a triathlon or whatever it may be. It's the whole idea that your muscles operate your body. So if you're really being able to encourage your body, you see it as a temple, you see it as a sacred tapestry. It's funny too, because boxers want to kind of abuse their body a bit, but as long as they're still able to see it in that type of divine light, and they're able to really attract a lot of that positive energy into their body, this is actually what brings about some really great capabilities through the athletes, but also just being able to feel that they've already achieved those goals. Those goals are undoubtedly something that they're going to achieve. That's not just for athletes, that's for everybody, right? There's no magic formula in regards to a distinction of what you want to become, whether you're a healer, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a businessman, whether you're an athlete, whatever it is. You already see that you're capable of achieving these goals. You already know that those goals are happening. You are encouraging yourself. You give yourself the permission to be your own best ally. You're going to have some amazing things come into your life. So that really is the advice there. Okay. Thank you so much for your question. Okay. So we have one here from Luciana. She asks for Adronis, so I'll be bringing Adronis here in a minute. I'm curious about the Yael. Are they reincarnations of the Greys, or could they be humans from the earth moving forward in their incarnation cycles? Okay, so a very good question here about the Yael. So let me just take a moment now to connect with Adronis' energy. He'll come through and he'll provide some insight on this question. Thank you again, Luciana, for your question. All right, one moment now as I bring him in. Terra Soul Star Sirius Adronis We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all of you. And we thank you very much, Luciana, for your question regarding the Yael. Now, the Yael in that sense are what you would know as, shall we say, the immediate family or the progeny as it pertains to the hybridization program between the beings known as the Zetans or the Greys, to whatever you wish to term them, and your own human race. They are not the ones in that sense that came from a different parallel Earth and basically decided to see this project. They are the result of such a hybridization program itself. It were the Zetans, the Greys themselves, again, that are a different breed of human that came from a different Earth that was dying. And basically they came into this particular dimension and decided to partake in the idea of preserving their race through the means of a hybrid exchange program. And so therefore they were communicating with different forms of spiritual beings, different forms of astral entities, to ask if they would be interested in participating in this. Those that have agreed, basically in their own DNA, have what we have termed in a form of a nickname as an A' gene key. And that this is primarily the A' gene key is what is the beacon that many of the beings that you would know as the Zetans, the Greys, that were able to discover many of the human beings, volunteers, that were willing to assist in the idea to this particular agreement that was brought forward in astral form. So therefore, this particular arrangement took place. Certain people upon your planet, again, a great deal of percentage, from 20 to 25% of people upon your planet, decided to, again, volunteer themselves. But again, this is not what you would know as a conscious volunteering. This was indeed a subconscious volunteering existing within the, again, permissions through the idea of an astral being, an astral entity, communication between the Greys and between them. Much of it in that sense was telepathic. It was written into their own contracts that they would agree to do this. Why? Because they were happy to allow their own genetic stock to be passed upon, creating a new race that would therefore be responsible for contacting the human race down the road in that idea of mutual exchange. So that is why it was being agreed upon. We understand that, again, many of you did go through some unpleasant experiences as it pertains to the Zetans. That, again, they did not really know how to talk to you too well, and that many of you became quite afraid of that. But the whole idea in that sense, nonetheless, this took place. And basically, now you have approximately 500 million to 650 million Yael that are now propagated because of your voluntary services. So the Yael, as we have stated, are not in direct association with the Zetans anymore. The reason being is because they have chosen two vibratory paths. The idea of the Greys in that sense is that many of them, the ones who have performed these hybrid experiments, have decided to go into a type of exile. And basically, in that sense, go upon a particular planet or, again, certain areas within the cosmos and basically allow themselves to come to a point of rest. They definitely want to return back into a love state. But again, they have been basically worked to breed much of their emotions out of them, so they're unable to feel it. But basically, in the idea of their own reconciliation, is to assist in the idea of helping others, rather than the idea of, in that sense, utilizing these particular forms of life for their own means. But working together with the Yael, this is a very different story. They are on their own. They are working together with other particular federations. They are not working together with their Zetan progeny as it relates to the, or shall we say, Zetan parentage that represented to them being their progeny. And basically working together with many of these other federations to work together in majority sense as it relates to the human race. So that is primarily their purpose right now, is to basically at some particular point bring themselves collectively together to working together with you as being the first race within our association to work together in mentorship capacity with all of you. We thank you for your question. Okay, thank you so much, Luciana, for your question. All right, so we have one here from David Violet, so I'm just going to highlight his question, make sure I don't lose it. Okay, question is, are there ongoing reports as to the physical impact of fourth density energies with regards to body aches, joint pain, etc.? Yeah, I mean, basically what those are is that's actually more third density situations that are happening. That's not a result of going into fourth density. It's more so in the idea that the transition cycle, because there's so many different forms of energies, very intense energies that are coming upon the planet, the whole idea is that our body is being fully transmuted. It's being reshaped genetically in that way. And it's being repropagated into functioning as a fourth density compliant vessel. Because we're basically going through this type of DNA software upgrade, the aspects of the emotions that we carry within ourselves become a lot of this difficulty that we carry, and we basically feel these symptoms. So we feel headaches, we feel neck aches, we feel back pains, we feel heart palpitations, we feel heightened blood pressure, indigestion, whatever it may be. All of these different forms of symptoms are because what we have held onto is not compatible with where we are going. And that's basically why we're having these particular quote-unquote ascension symptoms, right? So basically the wave that is coming to us right now and basically delivering a lot of this energy is all part of an advanced transmutational effect. If there is some way that we could just hook up some type of like micro scanner or highly advanced microscope and being able to look at the DNA changing, we'd see a lot. We would see a lot of capability, being able to look at it in a very advanced perspective, actually being able to see these mutations taking place within our DNA. And again, this is why scientists are beginning to understand more about the factors of DNA, because more of these systems are coming online, and they're starting to admit that a lot of the DNA within our body is completely non-human, right? And so this is what they're just being completely perplexed about. So our body is going through this incredible transmutation process. Because it's going through such a transmutation process, because of a lot of the gunk that we hold into ourselves on an emotional level, this is what's causing a lot of those kind of rough rides. That's what's causing a lot of these types of symptoms that are taking place. So again, the key that when you're feeling these kind of neck aches or back aches or whatever these situations may be, again, go into your space, find out exactly what is it on an emotional level that is causing a lot of this. Again, do you feel happy with where you are? Do you feel that what you're doing right now is complimentary? Do you feel complimentary to yourself? Do you have any hard feelings with people? Whatever may be these emotional states, work towards them. Just bring them to the surface. Let them be fully exposed. Don't try to alter them. Don't try to change them. Don't try to feel that they're not there. Don't try to ignore them or bury them or blow them up, right? It's all about being able to look into these emotions, let them come to the surface, surrender yourself, stay empty, and being able to transcend these emotions, being able to release them by forgiving them, by acknowledging that they exist, and being able to have that release. Now you can put something positive into yourself, and now you can really feel euphoric as you experience these energies. This is exactly what I have done, and really thanks to light circuitry attunements, I've really felt another incredible boost, and I'm feeling these energies, and it feels like you're just grabbing a surfboard and you're riding a wave. It feels really, really incredible. But you have to go through a lot of deep transformations, emotionally, mentally, for a lot of this physical changes to happen. And it's like you're seeing a Rubik's Cube being shifted, right? And you're seeing all these different forms of color alignments coming together that represent the transformation of your own reality. So again, all of these are parts of the effects of energies that are coming onto the planet that are helping us to come into fourth density. But the more resistant people are, the more that they're just anchoring in this emotional weight. And it's like they're sinking to the bottom of the ocean, right? Rather than rising above it and coming to the surface, which would represent the fourth density transitional analogy. So anyways, David, I hope that helps. Okay. All right. I had Digital X Knife. Brad, it's Daniel. Love you, buddy. Love you too, man. That's actually something I'll bring up as well too. What's happening right now is that I've worked on a short film called The Inbound Interception. I filmed it with my good buddy, Daniel James. He lives in Pittsburgh, and we just filmed it in the summertime. And basically, we're in the process of getting it into post-production right now with visual effects. We are looking to release this short film in 2017. The Inbound is all about starseeds, in a way. There's a main character known as the Adept, and I don't want to give too much away, but basically looking into the idea that the Inbound are basically termed that as starseeds. So this is basically a short that we're going to put into many different film festivals. Depending again upon the success, which I feel will do really, really well, we're also going to look into making this into a big feature. So that would be our next goal after the film festivals. So that's what I was doing in the summertime. Really just keeping myself busy, going to the East Coast, going to Pittsburgh, hanging out with my friends, and of course doing this incredible movie, short film, about a half hour long actually. So that's Daniel that's on the chat room, just saying hello, love you, and we had a really great time filming The Inbound. So it's a big budget as well too. It's $30,000. That's how much it costs to make the short. So basically we're just getting everything ready. 2017 we're going to start putting it in film festivals, seeing if we can get some more attention to it, and then I'm currently writing the script for the feature of this. But again, it very much follows a kind of Star Wars type path. It's very Star Wars. It's also very anime inspired as well too. It was basically the story that was responsible for my awakening. So I'm really looking forward to sharing this with all of you guys once I get the once we get the short film ready to go, and we're gonna have some screenings, including an online screening as well too, that you guys will be able to check out. So that's a little segue there relating to Daniel as well too. So again, Daniel, thanks for being here, brother. Appreciate it. Okay. I'm just going to scroll down, see if there's more questions here. Okay. So we got one here from Magic of Mount Shasta. And they have a question for Adronis. They said, Adronis, earlier this year, you have talked about people being locked into fourth density. I'm wondering how much did actually lock in? Okay, very good question. Let me go ahead and bring Adronis in, and he can align to that question. One moment. We thank you very much for your question. As it relates to the question itself, did people actually lock into fourth density? You sure did. As we would state, it would be approximately 10 to 15% of your population. Now, basically, as we've stated, that much in regards to what is happening upon your planet right now is still this integration effect. You are moving into the cusp as it relates to fourth density. You are not fully immersed in a fourth density matrix at this time. When we say that your Earth is becoming a fourth density compliant planet, it has now reached the gateway center to be functioning as a fourth density world, which means fourth density does exist. But because you are being nursed and nurtured into that particular domain, you are transitioning yourselves from this transmutational process that is taking place right now, which means that, again, it is no more different than watching a toddler learn how to get up and walk. So basically going from crawling to learning how to walk. That would be an appropriate analogy about what is happening. So basically, you could state that the grid, as it relates to fourth density, is now officially online. It has been completely encoded into your Earth matrix. As we see the energies right now, the sophistication of the geometry grids represent that of a compliant fourth density planet. But because you are still going through incredible shifts, moving from a third to fourth density octave, this is what's going to take time to fully immerse yourself into a fourth density experience. Some people are actually able in that way to go to fourth density in a much more immersive way, somewhat quicker than others. Again, it will still take time, but that is something that is available. So basically, when we say many of you are locked in, this is all part of a vibratory matter. This is all part and parcel of many of you being assistants to humanity, being able to work together in the ways of love. It is not so in that sense minuscule in percentages of many of you would believe. It would be very, very common to see that 15 to 20% of much of your own kind are going to further move into that particular type of ratio within the years ahead, moving up to then 25% and more. So the whole idea here is that this is, over the span of years, going to continue from 10 to 15%, from 15 to 20%, from 20 to 25%, and more as it continues in that way. Your culture is going up. It's not going down. The whole idea of the chaos that is happening right now is the result of you wanting to change your Earth plane collectively, realizing these are not the type of systems that you prefer. It is all going according to plan. You have not deviated any particular type of cosmic plan that would prevent many of you from going into fourth density. You have not deviated any particular type of plan preventing many of you, as early birds in that way, to locking yourself into fourth density. You have not prevented any particular type of plan whatsoever that is moving yourself into a unified collective. That is all part of what is happening right now. You are going exactly where the cosmic plan is taking you, to where it has been prophesied, to where it has been felt by many of your ancient masters, ancient mystics, ancient teachers that have lived upon this planet for hundreds and thousands of years. Feel it for yourself to know how you have locked in. And that comes from your ability to be of service with love. Thank you. Okay, Great. Guess that answers the question. Thank you, Mount Shasta. Thanks for your question. Okay. So I'm just going to go down here. We're going to probably take about 1 or 2 more questions before I wrap it up. Okay, so here's one from Sharanjeet. She asks, I would like to ask Adronis if the red orb-like lights that appeared in almost mesh-like state over the night sky my husband and I saw a few years back, were they UFO related? Okay, 1 moment. We thank you very much, Sharanjeet, for your question. As it relates to the mesh of the red orb lights that you saw with you and your husband in that sense, yes, these are genuine sightings that are taking place. Now, much more in the idea of these particular orbs do represent what you would know as a light consciousness. Now, they are not in that sense physical beings that you would understand. They are more so in the idea existing within etheric domains, or in that sense higher different forms of astral domains. Basically, they are appearing in that sense to form a particular grid. And in that sense, this is what you would know as a collective sighting. This also is something that is basically anchoring into your own plane, utilizing the red energy of stability. So therefore, that is the idea. So yes, you could refer to this as otherworldly as it pertains to this type of sighting. We thank you for your question. Okay. So we're going to take, I think we've got time for 2 more questions. So I'm going to go to Claudia next. And Claudia has another question here. First question for her. Question, so many people around me are having long drawn out colds or other health issues. I have not. Is this an expression of me being aligned into the energies of the shift? To put it simply, yes. When you're noticing that you're not really getting sick that much anymore, but you're noticing other people have gotten kind of sick around you, they're still going through their own purgings, and there's nothing wrong with being ill. It's just all part of how your body is naturally transitioning through a lot of the energies that are coming through. Again, a lot of emotions are what's causing a lot of these illnesses, even colds as well too. Like I just actually had a cold not too long ago, and so I was going through some fluctuations as well too. It wasn't a very bad one, but it was just something that was representing an adjustment. And I said, okay, if that's what needs to happen, let it be. It's not about taking these things too personally in that way. For people who do get sick in that way, that's just all part of how your body is reciprocating to the energies. And that, it's all about immune boosters as well too, that can really help. But if you're noticing that you're not getting sick, yeah, absolutely. That shows that you're doing a lot of great inner work. You're doing great work. Keep it up. So that's basically what I can say with that. Just continue to encourage people to love. The whole idea in that sense that if we see lack in our reality, it's all about us being able to bring love to it. That's what's going to heal everything. That's what's going to bring everything into a brand new charge as it relates to a trans-dimensional shift. You discover what areas in life are lacking within love. You take it upon yourself to place as much love into that situation, into that event, into that person as possible, to allow yourself to see it much more in a colorful, loving spectrum, rather than seeing it monochromatic or in black and white. So that's kind of what I would say it as, is that if you're looking at an aspect that has a lack of love, see it as a black and white image, right? Now that you see that black and white image, you want to light it up. You want to make it colorful again. You want to put all of that love energy into it. Dump all of that love energy into it and make it something special, right? That's exactly why we're all here. It's not a contest. It's not a race. It's not a competition. It's why we're all here. It's why I do what I do, because I love it. I love to do what I do. I love to see everybody continuing to expand themselves, and it's all about us together. Everybody holds a piece of the puzzle here. Okay, we're going to end on this question here. This is from Patricia Francisco. Patricia asks, Adronis said that Trump is part of the Earth Alliance and would do good things, but Trump has filled his cabinet with a bunch of crooks. How is that going to help? Okay. Well, I'm just going to take this instead of for the Adronis as well, too. Yes, of course, you're going to have a lot of weird kind of decision-making processes. The whole idea is that it's really not too much important about who Trump decides to get for his cabinet in that way. What matters in that sense is that he is basically following through with certain forms of orders and directives that are not coming from his own mind, that he is going to carry out. As you guys know, No president in history has really ever, in that sense, brought forward their own passions to the project. If it is, it's something that's very, very minor and something very minute. They are working on behalf of something else much larger. Trump himself is basically working on behalf as a representative to an Earth alliance. Does not matter about the type of crooks in that sense. Again, I'm not here to convince you guys. If you guys think Trump sucks, that's up to you. I don't think too highly of the guy either, but basically from what I've been told, that he is a representative of the Earth alliance. He is not establishment, he is anti-establishment. And so basically with that particular type of energy, there's a lot of things that he's going to bring in to politics in that sense that will surprise a lot of people. There has also been a talk about him wanting to take down NASA satellites. This is actually in a session yesterday with Adronis. Adronis said, yes, this is true because many of NASA satellites are actually spy satellites. And so there's basically an agenda of something that the Earth Alliance already knows of what a lot of these satellites are doing. And so there's an intention to take them down. So again, be careful. Media wants to spin a lot of this stuff about what's taking place. But I would just say, just be very mindful and be aware of what he does. But the whole idea really is that he is not even the catalyst right now. He's just a figurehead. That's just all part of bringing in something together. We are the game changers. We are the ones that make the decisions. We are the ones that are standing up and saying, no more to oil, no more to fracking, no more to anything else that's going to harm the earth, that's going to harm ourselves, that's going to harm our children, that's going to harm the generations to come. It's not about putting all of your eggs in one basket as it relates to a politician. In all due respects, politicians don't do shit, right? It's the whole idea that they basically create policies and stuff like that. It doesn't matter, right? They're just taking care of their little political agendas and all that stuff. It is us that is making the transformation. We are the ones that are putting things together. We are the ones that are now coming together collectively to say, this is what we will stand for, this is what we will not stand for. And through the idea of the masses, everything else has to conform to that. It's the power of the people. This is what 2017 represents, is again forming your own inner self-republic. So yes, Adronis has said certain things about Trump. He's not saying that he's the best guy in the world. He never said that he would do, quote unquote, good things. He's going to do things that will surprise many of us. That is what Adronis had said. So there's basically a lot of things that he has on his plate, and he is going to be bringing in some very, very surprising things when he gets into office. Because again, these are not his own personal innovations. These are the innovations of a 180 country Earth alliance. And that's basically what he is representing in that way. Okay, so I hope that has made sense in that way. You guys are the power. We are the power. We are the ones that are changing everything. We are the ones that are making all of this happen. You cannot have that through one man. And I don't know how many times I've explained this. You guys can't do that, right? You cannot have one person that's going to completely control your country or control the world. You can't do it, right? It is us that does that. We are the ones taking a stand. We're the ones that are forming connections. We're the ones that are saying, no, this is not something we're going to stand for. And through the masses that continue to support behind that, that is the true ruling cabinet in that way. So I just want to end it on that note, okay? Thank you guys so much for all of your questions tonight. I really appreciate it and really enjoyed tonight's conversation. And so I'm going to be coming back to the Reality Whisperer Webcast in the next couple of weeks. Who are the Earth Alliance? A 180 country alliance. Look into the idea of the BRICS Alliance. Okay, look into others. And there's again a much larger alliance than just that. Earth Alliance again are people who are coming together and helping to completely halt environmental destruction, coming together and actually being able to completely recreate everything that represents the infrastructure of how we live, and something that is much more in service to the people, something that's much more in service to the environment and to each other. That's what they represent, okay? So anyways, guys, thank you so much, and I'm going to wrap up the Reality Whisperer webcast for now. So again, I'll be coming back in 2 weeks' time, and we're going to do another episode then. But again, feel free just to stay tuned on the YouTube channel. More videos are to come this week. And thank you again. I hope to speak to you guys again very, very soon. Again, you can go to the website, realitywhisperer.com, sessions, courses, free media, and a lot more. Take care, guys. Thank you so much, and talk to you in 2 weeks' time. Take care. Namaste.